All right, it is now 6:30. The meeting has begun. We're going to roll call in. Brian Winslow,
Here.
Amy Hanneman,
Here.
Keith McGuigan is not here. He'll be here later, possible. And myself is going to be the acting chair for the night.
I'm here.
Oh, sorry, Dave Roof.
He's here.
I'm taking my nap.
And I'll turn it over to Mr. Rooney.
We have some guests tonight. We have the Northwood Girl Scout Troop, and I'd like to welcome Cadence DeTrude, Cora Perry-Young, Mabel Winslow, Alice Oulette, Trinity DeSantis, Emma Clement, and Lizzie Joy. Did I get everybody? Oh, I think I got Cora. So, and they're here to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great job.
Great, very good. All right. You got any extra cookies with you?
Oh, not yet.
I'll take the old ones, stay away.
So,
Selling candy.
they want to do the pledge? They want to do the Girl Scout?
You do? I
They
don't have
are.
any.
If they what?
Are they selling candy now?
I will try to serve God in my country, to help others
All time
all time,
to live.
by the Girl Scout law.
Well,
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
So, nice job, and I believe that Miss McDonald has a flag pin for each of you.
Awesome. And
Mr. Wells may have something to say. No.
boy,
so I want to thank you for being here. It was really a great honor for you guys to come out and show your allegiance to the flag. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
That was adorable.
Made my day.
All right, so we got bills and manifest are going around. Amy has them now, good. We had elementary school representative, which we don't have. We're gonna go jump, well, yes, in a way. And then agenda adjustments. If everybody could just look at consent agenda, not the consent agenda, principals report D, where Ms. Young is not here today, and Kat is not feeling well, so we're not going to be going over testing cohort data and light timer price. We'll do that next meeting. And just on their new business, we're going to talk about deliberative dates as well for Mr. Rooney. We'll have those. And old business, we're going to have a secretary update on wages. So just to give you a heads up. Okay, yeah, we're definitely gonna take the non-public admin contract to the end of the meeting, if anybody has any objections on that. Okay, good. All right, so we'll now jump to opening public comment.
Good evening. Am I on here? All right. Sharon Floor, 10 Lower Camp Road. So a few meetings back, we had talked about doing an informal meeting with the board and with members from the school. I would like to encourage that. I am in I think, a very unique position, or there's a few of us here at the school. Not only are we teachers, but we are also community members. So we're very concerned as people that live in the town, but we also see what's going on in the school. I think now we have a board that is very approachable, is very much wants to work together, with the teachers, for the school, and it's all about the kids and what's going on. We have a superintendent, I feel, is the same way, is very visible, wants to do what's best for the town, for the school, for the kids. But I feel like we still need to have those meetings, and sooner than later. So if we could think about when we could get that started, I think that would be great.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Would you like me to send out a scheduling email?
Please. Scott said to send out a scheduling meeting agenda. What was it? Scheduling meeting?
I'll maybe send out an email.
Okay.
You, Amy. To start getting some dates together. May I address that?
Yeah.
Who would I invite from the union to those meetings? Sharon? Beth? All right, so Mrs. West will begin the complex scheduling process.
She mentioned like Northwood residents who are teachers, so would we invite? Any other teachers you think would want to come that are residents? No, okay.
More scheduling nightmare.
Okay.
And is this something you would want to do like at 6 o'clock or right after school? Because I think for us to be there is probably the later half.
I think we could do it 6 o'clock.
Okay.
6?
Before a school board meeting?
Could do that.
May I suggest?
Here at 6, I'm here at 6
Yeah.
most times, so.
Right, but
5:30?
Yeah, we start at 6:30.
5:45 to 6:15, would
Yeah.
that work? Because you got bills and manifests from 6:15
Yeah,
to
that's, yeah,
6:30.
yeah, we can figure that out.
All right. And quarterly?
That's fine, yeah.
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 So sometime between now and December 31st, we'll call the first quarter.
Sure.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Any other opening public comment? All right, seeing no public comment, does anybody from the board want to speak?
Oh, I did. I just wanted to congratulate the sixth grade on the Egyptian tomb exposition. I'm not sure exactly what they called it, but my family and I went and had it very well done, and appreciated a unique event at our school. I think it was Miss Bechtold who was their teacher. I could be wrong about that, but just congratulations to them, and thank you to her for a unique opportunity for students. I think that was great.
Yeah, I went last year too, and I was very surprised how well done it was. Anybody else from the board? All right. All right, consent agenda, approval of school board minute, oh. Bills and manifest?
Did you go over that? You said bills and manifests?
I did, yeah, I said Amy
All
had
right,
it.
all right.
No problem. School board business, all right, consent agenda. We got approval of school board minutes. Does anybody have anything that
They're not,
do not?
sorry,
They in
the
here?
last ones are in there. My bad. They are, right?
Did yours get in?
I mean,
I know, I'm missing the ones
I
from
don't
last.
remember seeing them now that you're.
Are they the ones I was supposed to do?
right. Were they, I got a mailed one and a digital one, so. Yeah,
I don't think I got any.
So that would have been from the last meeting.
yeah,
With me, so my computer broke and I had to get a new laptop this week.
Make a motion to approve them next time, next
Okay.
meeting, or,
So,
Wait,
okay?
if her laptop broke, we don't have minutes.
right.
Gary?
swear. I saw
They
it on
will
public
be
in
here
here.
next time.
Oh, they will?
You
Yes,
can get them, go
I-
through them.
I had to take the hard drive, put the hard drive on something else,
Alright.
and now I just have to fix it.
Never mind. I was gonna get the tape and have it transcribed.
Yeah. I just didn't have them
Never
by
mind.
today.
All right, so we will move the school board minutes and the non-public minutes to the next meeting on the 15th.
Okay.
All right, we'll move down to student service report. Nate is not able to make it tonight, but Mr. Bruning is going to cover now.
So if you turn to Mr. Burns' report on page 4, I can echo that it has been a busy month in the special education department, preparing 3 budgets, and then meeting with our Medicare service our Medicaid service providers to go over billing and accuracy to make sure your reimbursements, you're maximizing your reimbursements. Mrs. Lee has completed your beginning of the year I4C submission, and your I4C school-wide has been submitted to the Department of Ed. And Mr. Byrne has met with various special education staff members to review their annual goals and provide feedback. And Mrs. Zabali has completed one of your step-by-step child clinics. And then they went to some various professional development opportunities on trauma-sensitive schools. They were also provided an invitation from Rochester and the state to look at the new state review process, which will help us in the future if we're selected. And Mr. Byrne is your SAU McKinney-Vento liaison, which is your homeless liaison, went to a regional meeting about that. Your census is below, marked with changes. And if you have any questions, I can give them, I can either, there's a good chance I can answer them, or there's the other process we can take is I can come back to you with answers. Mr. Byrne will be at your next meeting, subbing in for me as I do a budget presentation in Nottingham, and then when that's over, I'll be coming up for your next meeting after that.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Mr. Byrne will be at your next meeting while I'm down in Nottingham presenting to their budget committee, and as soon as that is over, I will come up to your meeting.
Okay, but I object to that, only not you personally, but I object to, I think we should start getting some professional courtesy from the Nottingham board. This has been going on for years. They just want a preliminary budget meeting. We're in the middle of our budget, and we schedule our meetings a year in advance. That budget committee down there, I'm disappointed, and I'm disappointed with the school board, should tell the budget committee, Northwood has a meeting scheduled and Scott will be there. And this has been going on for years. So I'm not in favor of you going to that meeting and skipping us, because we have a lot of important stuff too.
I certainly could take a look at switching the responsibilities and coming to that meeting and have Mr. Byrne go to that one.
Well, Mr. Burns not here for our meeting tonight, I would have, but he's,
Right,
okay.
right.
Is
And the
he in
reason Mr.
Nottingham, or is,
No,
okay.
the reason Mr. Burns not here for your meeting tonight is Chairman asked that I bring the business administrator, so I switched them out.
Oh, all right, I didn't know that. But I am adamant about
Yeah, I mean, they
switching
should,
out, switching,
I don't know how much truth that is. I'm sure they've been doing it. I'm not aware of it, but if they are, yeah, out of courtesy, they should realize that Thursdays, we don't schedule things on Tuesdays and Wednesdays when they have their meetings.
correct.
All right. Is that for the student service report?
It is.
You guys have any questions? Nate, like I said, Nate will be here next.
No, I'll be here now.
I know, I was like, insert foot
Apparently,
now.
I'll be here. And that's fine.
All right, so, again, principal's report, we're gonna go ahead and just go, you can read what's in there already, and we'll go over principal's report next meeting and the light time price. Curriculum director's report, again, that's gonna be, next month. If not, will be the first meeting of December. We'll, maybe we could just look into that.
It'll be next
It would be,
meeting.
well, okay.
That was my conversation.
All right. All right, policies. We have first reading. AC non-discrimination reaffirm. On, anybody know what page that is?
Starts on page 7.
Page 7, all right. So I will take a motion to bring AC non-discrimination to first reading. No.
Affirmation.
For affirmation.
Yeah, reaffirmation. I'll make a motion to reaffirm policy AC, non-discrimination.
Second?
Any discussion? Okay. All in favor? 4-0. All right. I will now take a motion for the next 4 policies, if you guys want to lump them together, if you can lump them all together, to bring to a second reading.
All right, I make a motion to move policy ABD, policy GADA, policy JICI, and policy JJJ from first reading to second reading.
Second?
Second by Amy. Any discussion? All right, all in favor? All right, motion passes 4-0 for second reading.
I don't think he's-
Okay. Superintendent's report.
Personnel reports on page 25. We just have a stipend nomination for the co-facilitator of the homework club. Nominate Minnie Carrington for a stipend of $375 coming from the local operating budget.
I haven't looked at that current budget. I know we've given out a lot of stipends.
It's my question, same question.
How much money do we have left in that, do we know?
That $600,000 to $700,000 off the top
No,
of
no,
my head.
no, no.
No.
No, we're talking about,
The,
I don't have a current expense
Yeah,
report.
me either.
Because we're doing budget tonight.
the stipends for,
I know we had a few bucks left there,
Yeah,
but I can't
co-curricular.
remember
You had
how
it
much.
budgeted, I'm sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't. What's that? Oh, I thought so because, yeah, I thought there was only one person doing homework club. But this is co-facilitator.
Okay.
If you want to move on to something else that you can talk about,
Sure.
I can
Try to find out.
find the expense report on my phone.
Okay.
I didn't have, anybody got last month's budget?
I'll have it in a minute.
Can you bring my notebook? I usually do.
no. I have so much, I took it all out.
Yeah, the monthly, that's usually the second meeting of the month, so.
What are we on next?
Well, we are on the superintendent's report, and he is trying to find something for us.
I have a financial report from October 5th.
That'll work.
Yep.
You're right on top of my.
Can find it now. Come go look and see. Co-curricular.
You still have $4,000.
Okay.
I mean, it's a,
Big chunk. Yeah, but, yeah, it's still got $4,000 in there.
Yep.
Okay,
yep.
all right. Yeah, that's a $20,000 line.
Yeah, it was a big line,
Yeah.
yeah.
You still have 4,000, at least a month ago. Yeah, you don't think you'd use that much.
No. So good that we checked.
All right. And that's informational, right? Or do we have to?
Yeah.
Take his recommendation from the superintendent.
I'm sorry, I've got three districts that do things 3 entirely different ways, so.
We should all follow our way.
It's all right, it's, keeps me young. All right.
And, you're still up.
Yeah, I know, I'm just gonna write now that it's complete. Just give me a second. Next is,
Strategic planning checklist, is that?
yeah, that's just a marker that I have there for us to review that.
Which we don't have,
No, I haven't.
you do?
Information?
Like test page.
I apologize to the board. That's a carryover from the last agenda when I passed out. Did I pass out in place priority, something like this? Meeting.
Maybe.
I think
I think you did.
my,
I had Jocelyn and Adrian did it.
yeah, I think we passed it up, but we didn't go over it.
Yeah.
All right, so let me bring that next time because I have the original, the blank, so. let
Can
me
I,
just-
wasn't here last meeting, so I can read one of
Yeah,
those.
just so, I'm gonna give this to you, but understand that it's been updated, and we'll get that update out to you.
Do you want me to put the principal's report in the minutes, since they're not here to present it?
It's in the packet?
So you want this?
Yeah, that would be fine. And did we email you an electronic version of the packet? I'll have Amy do that in the morning, and that way you don't have to.
Cut and paste.
Packet. Electronic. Sorry.
If she emails it as a Word and not a PDF, I don't have to transfer it.
If we can, yep. Okay, I got that. Then, I want to thank the board for, the work that you did at your budget workshop. It made answering questions very easy. Well, not easy, but it gave it some order and some structure. And we sent those out electronically. I also brought hard copies for tonight. With that, the result is an updated budget.
That's okay.
Thank you.
So in addition to your questions and directions in your document that you sent, your high school tuition lines have been adjusted. Mrs. West was able to reach out to some of your homeschool students to find the two are, one definitely and one tentatively is planning on going to Co-Brown. So we added that number in, and then I also verified our alt-ed census currently, and so I added two, and I'll explain this to the board, the new members. I added two Co-Brown tuitions in to cover the cost of the alt-ed students. Now, let me tell you how that works. We keep track of your student days in your alt-ed program and then bill it at the end of the year. To make sure that I have money for 50% of the cost, the other is covered another way. I build in two alt-ed tuitions into, two Co-Brown tuitions into each budget. We don't spend that unless we need it. For instance, your portion last year of the alt-ed program was about $27,000. But having those two budgets, those two Co-Brown numbers in there, because we don't know what the number is going to be, sort of braces us. The issue that could happen sometime is that one of the towns doesn't have any students in the alt-ed budget, and then that tuition money sort of braces you for that. Because we prescribe it out by student days and student hours by town at the end of the year is how we calculate it. So that's the major adjustment that you'll see, other than the adjustments based on your feedback.
So when it says we have received each line, like on the retirement lines, like the first thing, we have received each line of retirement and FICA and prepared a report that is attached, is that the new budget? Or is
No,
it-
it's on the back of this.
It's on the back of
Those
it?
last two pages.
The last two pages, okay.
But is your question, have those adjustments been made in the budget? Is that
Yes.
your question?
Yes,
Yes.
including the line item for field trips. It's in there, and we have a budget budget for it.
I don't know much about how Group 1 works, but that 17.8%, that's not
It's the employer contribution.
employer contribution. Is that matched? Or is it just total? No, it's not like ours.
No, I think the teachers placed somewhere around 7,
So, okay,
or it's not a match.
okay. I'm just going through this, if you guys have any
Want to
questions.
go through it line by line, or are we?
Uh,
Okay,
I don't know if we need to go through it line by line.
okay.
I think it's something maybe we could definitely do on our own, and make sure that it is what we talked about the other night during the work session. I mean, some of these things that I'm seeing, reading, like, line by line that we went through with questions, I'm seeing that it's been corrected.
You want me to,
Yeah, if you want to go.
kind of a summary
Yeah,
overview?
absolutely.
I mean, you noted in your comment slash questions that there were a number of retirement slash FICA lines wrong.
Yeah.
In reality, I'm gonna say there were less than half a dozen that, once you went back and re-examined them, but there were some erroneous lines.
That's all we were looking for, was something just, we couldn't figure it out, that was
So
all.
we corrected them, but if you didn't know, and I'm no expert on it, that's why we have an HR person, something like a retirement line may not be apparent as to how to calculate it, because a salary may be partly here and partly somewhere else, depending on the position.
Another example is an insurance buyout that's attached to a salary line is going to have a FICA number, and that may be in the FICA line along with the salary.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
But the insurance buyout might not qualify for a
Or
retirement
wouldn't
calculation.
qualify for retirement, so that would look different.
So it is complicated. You brought up, you know, the need for us to re-examine all the lines. Linda Osborne did a pretty good job. She spent a lot of time re-examining everything, and I think you can have a fair degree of confidence in the budget. And the amount of money that was off was not a grandiose amount of money.
Yeah. The one question that, I have actually a couple, but I'll start off with this one. The $8,000 for reimbursement of schooling that Jocelyn and Adrian have. Now, that is counted as income, correct?
Actually, we can do
Right.
that. It is counted as income. I've also got that contract review in non-public if you want
Okay.
to. Well, it's counted as income if they don't
Use it for
They
courses.
don't use it for courses, so you budget for the
My opinion is, at the time, was that it should be a whole separate line, that it's there. It shouldn't be included in that first line, because we are now putting I think we should discuss that in
Yeah.
non-public.
I think we should,
Yeah,
but I also
okay.
know how it was negotiated.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I think we're better off
Okay.
Yeah,
right now.
that's totally fine.
Yep.
I expected that anyway.
After-
I understood the speech line. There was one about the, something about putting what's it? The curriculum material or something
You
next to.
had, you had
Trying to find it.
a chaperone that you wanted to move from one part of the budget to another, and we did that.
Or was your question about
Curriculum improvement.
curriculum improvement, and then I think Jocelyn answered that, or someone did.
Oh, all right.
You're gonna find the question.
Yeah,
I should have marked it when I was looking at it.
Zero,
that's
it's,
what I mean, if we wouldn't just,
there's no page on.
we don't have, I have some other questions after you're done.
Well, let's just, why don't everybody grab this piece of paper here, the packet that explains everything?
Yeah.
And we'll just go pretty much retirement
And
lines.
this was emailed out a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
before,
and that-
so
It
I'm
was.
gonna
It was,
say
It
yeah.
was, I don't,
Making sure.
well, I don't remember seeing it.
We tried to get it to everybody ahead of time, and then
Yeah.
I said.
Which I
it'd be hard.
appreciate, yeah. Thank you.
I didn't bring my iPad in, it probably was going crooked and I couldn't read it.
Oh, that's right, you're supposed to bring that in so I can
Supposed to
help
bring
you
it
with
in,
that,
yeah.
you haven't.
It comes to me, and if I say, oh, it's this way, I want it this way, I turn my iPad and usually everything flips, it goes back the other way, I can't read.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me
you-
start off by how we assembled the report. We took Keith's email to me and to Scott, and we didn't wordsmith it or anything. We just simply copied and pasted
Yeah.
and broke it up into subsects. So the answers that you see here are the answers to each area of your work.
Okay, what are we gonna look through page by page, or what did you, or we'll just skip around and ask questions? I have some questions after you. Or-
I'm just reading.
What would the board want to do?
Well, I think the budget's looking in really good shape, and from going through my first time, I think the questions that we still as a board have to answer, if we could just make that clear, we have to decide how we're gonna proceed with the SRO. We have to decide how we're gonna proceed with the tractor, and did you,
And at the 15th meeting, you're going to have a presentation in non-public from your architect on security upgrades.
Okay.
And you're gonna have to have
make some decisions there too?
well, you're gonna have to have a discussion, and it's gonna be a complicated discussion.
I can touch on the SRO, I can touch on the tractor.
Yeah, he's talking the SRO, we have to wait. Do you wanna wait until your public hearing about the SRO?
So when do the deadline for warrant articles have to be in?
Budget
I
committee
think
said
I
by
have-
their first meeting,
They
but
have
that's
to have
not
a
legal.
warrant, yeah. You'll wanna have draft warrant articles for December 10th, is it? Or
Whatever that Saturday is, 8, 9,
Saturday
10,
morning.
somewhere around there.
And our
Which means
meetings,
that we need to have them out, checked by the lawyers, so I would say somewhere around December 5th.
and our meetings are 29th?
Your
Yeah.
public hearing is the 29th. Your, you have a board meeting on the 15th at Co-Brown.
14th or 15th.
14th, I'm sorry. Then, no, you don't. That's the other two. You have a meeting on the 15th here.
Yep.
Yes.
Sorry.
But we do have a CBA on the 14th.
You do, and the other two districts have meetings directly after that, so my confusion. And then you have, you don't have another meeting until the 8th,
Yep, the budget work
which
session.
is the budget work session. Let me double check that on the calendar.
December 8th is a budget work, so that's a Saturday.
So that's not accurate. You have a meeting December 6th.
Thursday, yeah, sounds right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, on that, I think we definitely need to have a discussion as a board. I mean, I know we voted for nothing, and then Dave was against it, so it would be 4-1 that we want an SRO. and if I could get some advice on how does it work, because do we fund it 100%?
Well, let me
or do
touch
we-
on that if you
Yeah.
want. If you want an SRO, and no questions asked, you just want an SRO, you either go with the warrant article for the full amount of the SRO position, or you put it into the budget. Those are the two choices. One, of put it in the budget, and it's got probably a bigger chance to pass relative to the overall budget being down. Put it in as a warrant article, you know, everybody has a say, and it stands on its own feet or it fails on its own feet. You did ask about, could you do a warrant article in conjunction with a warrant article from the town? And the answer to that is you cannot have a conditional warrant article. If this happens, then that happens. A warrant article stands on its own feet all by itself. So to this one, you could say, let me frame that conditional warrant article. Let's say you were gonna pay for 80%, and you were hoping the town was gonna pay for 20%. And you put a warrant article that said, do you approve the voters, X amount of money, conditioned upon the passage of warrant article number 2, let's just say this was warrant article number 1, or you had it the other way around, warrant article number, it's just not done. You cannot condition one warrant article's ability to pass on what happens with a second warrant article.
So you've got two separate warrants. You've got a town warrant and you've got a school warrant, right? So you can put 80% in your school warrant,
Right.
and that can pass. And then you can put 20% in your town warrant, and if that passes, you're all set.
Yeah,
If
set.
it doesn't pass, you're right back to where you are today,
It would
right?
not.
Right, in
Yep.
reality?
You can't have an 80% person.
Well, you could,
Well,
but it doesn't
It's
mean,
complicated, yeah.
you might not get what you want at the end of the day.
the challenges, and Mr. O'Sullivan, some of the history is, because of the way the SRO would have to be employed out of the police department and
Right.
billed back to the school district, that creates some challenges if one of the warrants doesn't pass.
So then, if we want this, I think we should figure out a way to make it happen
Right.
through us and not deal, I mean, I know other schools do, they pay for their own without dealing with the town. So,
Well, you're still gonna deal with the town if the police are gonna manage the SRO.
Yeah.
if,
So you'd have to create.
but
a-
some of them don't.
Right. You would, my understanding, and this is not something I do every day, so I'll be honest with you, is that, for instance, a police officer is paid a different retirement rate than a school employee, right?
Yep.
And you have a different plan. So if you wanted to put in your budget, I believe, and I would have to check this with our attorneys, that we would have to put like a SRO contracted service line in for the total cost. And then the police department would have to agree to bill us for that. Is that something you'd like me to explore with Chief Drolet and the attorney?
Well, I mentioned in the past, I mean, if you hired an ex-Navy SEAL or an Army Ranger, you wouldn't be dealing with the police department, but you'd be dealing with a person that has an awful lot of training in security. If you are, in other words, an MP or a CB.
School security officer?
Yeah.
But an SRO is a lot more complicated than just a person standing at the front door. Like, we want somebody who's a trained SRO who can do things inside the school too.
And,
No.
and the community, that was part of
And
our-
the community,
our
yes.
conversation before. Do you know, Mr. Wells, if the town is planning a warrant for the 20%?
The chief has drafted one,
Drafted.
and he's just waiting on our decision on what we're gonna do. If we wanna go 80-20, he'll put the 20 in
Okay.
for the town. If not, then if we wanna fund it through us, or put 100% into a warrant article, 100% in a budget, then he'll retract that.
Okay,
Okay.
so he's waiting to.
I'll just throw out, you can always, after the fact, somebody needs to decide to pay for the position. And then after the fact, or before the fact, have an agreement already in hand around subsidies. You know, if the police department is willing to subsidize 50% or 20% of the position, then, you know,
Just to catch you up, the reason that the police department came up with the 20% is that during the summer months, they would use the officer
Yep.
So that's where that
Oh,
came.
anyway,
Are
Very
we,
complex.
it is very complex.
because of the nature of Northwood, are we not keen on putting it in the budget because of the way things have gone down in the past?
I feel if you have money in the budget, right, and it's something that the school wants and the school board wants, this whole thing of like, oh, we're hiding it in the budget, I don't believe in that. A lot of people think that's the wrong way to do it, let the townspeople vote. Well, then don't vote down the budget. Don't vote for the budget, vote it down, you know? I'm not hiding anything, I'm telling you right now, hey, we're gonna put it in the budget, I'm not hiding anything.
I'm not in favor of it, but I'm in favor of putting it in the budget, as we decide.
All
I
right.
think that is the way to go. Then the only problem you have, if the budget committee can vote to take X amount of money out if they don't like it, but it still doesn't matter. Or a default budget, then we'd have to make a decision whether we wanted to, we had enough money to pay. So,
Okay.
yeah.
That's another thing. Can we get the default budget? Is that something that's be able to
Well, we have to,
come?
This
we
would
have to
not,
sort of
Wait till you're
set up
done.
a regular budget
Yeah.
first.
I know, I'm just, I mean.
I will say that.
How close is it?
If you went to a default budget, you would not have an SRO.
Right. So, Mr. Wells, so generally, once you get close to adoption, we'll calculate a default.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if just by looking at what we have now, how close is the default budget? Is it higher? Is it lower? You know?
But with the changes in the default budgeting, your default budget is likely to be lower than your operating budget.
That would be my take.
Ready to move on to page 3, if
Oh,
unless
sorry.
you got some other things.
Nope. I do not.
There's not numbered, but it would be probably page 3.
I do actually have a
go
question
ahead.
on, the things that we took out from last year. How much is that reflecting on our budget? I guess the analysis of what we took out compared to what we added in this year. Like, I know some of the budget lines went up and down. I mean, we took out, what, $60,000 almost, right?
67?
67. I mean, what was, and I know that a lot of the lines, I guess, what I'm trying to say is where did that 67,000 go?
It's still sitting in the lines.
It's still sitting in the lines.
I mean, this budget is created independent of last year's budget, so I'm hoping, because a lot of the lines are things that would have fallen within the realm of Jocelyn and Adrian. I'm assuming, and I'm hoping that they're budgeting for what they actually need, and that would be independent of last year.
All right. All right, we're on page 3, you said?
Yeah, if you guys are.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we have a preschool section similar, but, in other words, all I wanted to do is take the preschool budget and the SAU budget and just take them out of where they are and total all the costs for this school, and then you put the total, then you'll have a page where you'll have those two items.
We could generate a report that's separate from the budget
Yeah.
Right.
that got at what
I don't want to complicate. You can use the same numbers, just like we did when
It
we
would
took
be the
out
same
all the
number.
high school. We know how much it costs for the high school, and we know how much it costs for here. But if we have $300,000 that we pay the SAU and the preschool, this school gets charged for it.
Right.
So I would like to take, so when somebody looks at our budget, they'll look at the total.
Well, the charge-
Then the grand total will be the same, but we've separated those two items out.
Well, it's, within the context of the budget, Dave, it's not quite as simple as you're hoping for. And that's why we actually have a variety of customized reports that come as part of the financial reporting, and we can create them. So if you actually wanted to see something like this reported on a, month-by-month basis, you can get at what you're talking about, but from a budgeting standpoint, just because of the way the budgets are constructed and managed, the preschool is totally managed outside the realm of this particular budget, and to your point, it is shown as a single line item, as an allocated cost.
Right. But my history with this town is the questions that have been asked, and
Yep.
everybody's saying is, it was always, you guys are spending $11 million for this school, cut 10%.
Yeah.
Well, where would 10% come from? Ain't coming from Co-Brown. It's not coming from any special education. It comes out of K through 8. So for me, I'd like to see those costs that really don't belong to this school. We have a pre-K, we have nothing to do with the pre-K, but we're charging the kids in this school, in one sense, my mind, this school's getting charged for it. I don't mind that we have to pay it if the total would come out the same at the very end. We don't have two budgets, one for us
So
and one
what
for
you're saying, you
Co-Brown.
think you could be getting overcharged?
No.
Well, all he's saying
In other
is-
words, if we put in, if we deduct $300,000, that's off the top of my head, preschool and our cost of SAU, let's say it's 300,000. And the cost for this school is 7 million. Well, now the cost for this school is 6,700,000.
Right.
If we added in an SRO, it would still wouldn't look like we're spending a lot of money here. But if we add in an SRO on top of that,
Well, here's how it would play out.
the cost comes here.
Right.
But I don't wanna complicate
I will
things, but
defer.
Let me
and
just.
I don't think it's complicated.
Right. Let me get some history, this'll help.
Yep.
All right. So when we arrived here, everything was in one budget, right? High school,
Yep.
right, you had your cost centers, you had your 1,100 cost centers, you had your 1,200 cost centers. And over time, Marjorie was able to separate it, so we had like a high school cost center and an elementary school cost center. And what Mr. Ruth is asking, although the SAU is a cost center in itself in the budget, is the preschool is now in the 1,200s, right?
Yes.
So could we move that to its own cost center? Now, the challenge that you probably already see is then your state reporting becomes cumbersome because you're gonna plug that back into the 1,200s when we do our expenditure reporting. The other issue has to do with the accounting codes, the universal codes that we're trying to straighten out right now, and where things will show up when you change them to the code that they're supposed to be. That there's some challenges there.
Well, this new program that we might get for a bunch of money, could we make that happen next year?
Well, I would say that when we commission that program, if we do get it, and we're commissioning, just like you commission a furnace at home for the first time, we could look at that.
It gets back, Scott,
Well, if we,
to how you choose to manage all this.
Yep.
And, right now it's managed through the SAU and budget, both, and if you chose, it's up to you, it's not up to me. To change how it's essentially managed and budgeted for.
well, if I look at Stratford's budget or Nottingham's budget, none of the line, maybe the numbers on the lines might match up, but the way they do things and the way things are, they all look a little, their budget looks different than our budget.
Right, because
Well, let me give,
Nottingham's actually looks pretty similar to yours. It has the high school costs broken out and this and that, and Stratford's
finally did
elected
it.
to stay with the way they wanted to do
Anyway.
it.
well, let me give a future-looking statement here, or picture. And that is, we are making corrections as we speak in the budgets, because there have been numerous places where the accounting codes are just wrong.
Yeah.
So we're fixing them as we uncover them.
uncover.
And that's
All right.
one of the tasks that Ed has, is to go through line by line and make sure for each district that we have the correct code. Coming to your point of differences, I'm gonna say in 2 or 3 years, there should not be differences, nothing of
Okay.
great magnitude.
I'm looking at now, and again, I
Understood.
don't wanna make any more work for you. I'm sitting here thinking, this gotta be easy, I have a computer, I cut and paste or
Yeah, it's
whatever,
not where
but
you
you
can't
can't do
Well,
that.
here's,
But you can't do that, I know.
here's the reason why it's gonna take 2 or 3 years, is because everybody is relying upon a little bit of history. And so you're gonna see some lines in the budget as you look, where it looks like the same item is on one line, and then it's now reported on a second line with a slightly different account number. And there's no history, there's just the new budget. And what it is that was a correction, and it's gonna take 2 years for the history to wash out. so that we now get rid of the.
I may not be here in 2 years, you know,
Well-
God willing, but anyway.
I hope to be here in 2 years, and
But
that,
I'm just trying to make it so, my understanding of how we've gone for the last
And
15 years.
one way to do that is with a budget statement.
Well, yes, but
We could definitely, before we hand out the budget and during.
Here's your SAU number, here's your
Preschool
preschool
number.
number.
here's the
your
real
total-
cost,
Here's your total.
and,
Well,
yeah,
it's
so
not-
we can do-
And break it down by a chart, too.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, how
And
they
then-
communicate
And
it
Dave,
to the public, is that
I don't
your-
want, Mr. Ruth,
primary?
I don't want you to think that, we're saying, please wait to be difficult.
No, I know,
I think
I
what I'm
understand
trying to say
what
is,
goes
please
on.
wait as we try to align all your codes.
But
And
I-
then, once we get that done, then you gotta wait, you know how your, what if your monthly financials, or even your budget gives a history? So when we change those lines, so there may be, let's just say $10,000 in this line, and it looks like there's no actual, and there's a line underneath it that's the same line with with the history in it, it's because we had to change the codes. And if we just delete the codes and change to a new line, it, as we found out in another district, it completely throws the budget and the percentages off, the percentages primarily. So,
Okay.
it's very, it's been I've learned a lot.
What if we can get rid of encumbrances? Will that help you out so that you can do this?
Well,
Mark, can we
that's
do
another-
that?
That's another issue that Mr. O'Sullivan is
We
working on.
shouldn't use it.
Is
Encumbrances
the-
are a waste of time.
And actually, Mr. Winslow's been privy to this information, is that standard practice before was, we go through the budget and all the budget we'd encumber, right? Well, we really should be setting encumbrances off the first invoice.
Yep.
Because what happens is, and I think I have a very detailed email that explains this, is when we encumber and then get a bill, you're required to go in and look at the history and see if your encumbrance is there, where if you just wait for the first bill, you set the encumbrance. It provides for more accurate financials. And it keeps you from having to delete and release.
Why
and
don't we do that?
We do now.
Okay.
We do now. Mr. Winslow has a very detailed email to the Budget Committee explaining that.
Yeah, I can forward that to you if you
Yeah.
would like.
Please.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to describe our current state of affairs, we're halfway between when everything was managed at the building level, including all of your financial reporting.
Yeah.
And getting to I'll call it state-of-the-art set of accounts that each district, if you look and you wanted to say, where is the field trip line? The field trip line is in all three of the districts, and it says field trip. You know, right now, it may, if it existed, and when we create a line as you requested, for consistency's sake, we're creating that line elsewhere too, in the other districts.
We've spent enough time, I don't wanna wait.
Right.
And it's not us trying to standardize or infringe on a town. I'll tell you, I'll give you an example of, you have a purchase service agreement from Stratford Learning Center that gets divided by a certain percentage within each district, right? So I write down the percentage, and then I do the line, line code's pretty long. And all of a sudden, I'm copying 3 different line codes down from 3 different budgets to pay that bill. It's just inefficient. Where if it's the same line code, it's just little efficiency nuances like that that Mr. O'Sullivan's trying to.
Right, and with
Which
manually doing that, that leads to potentially mistakes and stuff.
Right, so.
He doesn't make any mistakes.
Well, we
They
all
plenty
make
of
mistakes.
But we correct them.
Right.
No, I just keep bringing it up every year because it took me about 5 years to get the high school completely separated, but
Yeah.
it did get done, so
Right.
I keep putting the idea out so that someday
I
it
mean,
may
we
get done.
certainly could take
Okay.
a look, at maybe not in the same cost center, but we maybe, well, no, you couldn't,
All right.
because, no, never, I'm sorry.
Think
I
about
take
it when
that
you're
back.
at the office.
We're beating a dead horse.
Yes. I did have a question, the next one you answered, and I'm not worried about. Maybe we could put all those costs on the high school budget for 1 year and then on us for another year. Okay. Down to the science camp, on the same page.
Yep.
We asked a question, how much is it gonna cost? And this is an anticipated cost of $8,500, and we're already putting in 6,000? so it shouldn't be too hard for them. Did they raise their own money, the sixth graders? They don't have a, or they just charge the sixth graders?
It's charged them
They
the
charge them.
$255 per
That'll be
student.
that
Yeah.
for each kid. Okay. No, at
It
two
says-
fifty-five per student plus 800 for each chaperone, minus 3,000 scholarship without enrollment, 41 fifth graders, we're in total cost of 85. Is that now take our 6,000 out, or the cost is 14,000?
That's a great question.
Well, you asked what the total cost of science camp was.
Yep.
We gave you a total cost.
That's the
Okay,
total
that's
cost.
my, all right, so,
Yeah,
so
but
it sounds more doable. Now you're talking 41 into 2,500. Does that come out to 250?
no, they're saying what the total cost, what,
Be about
That
60 bucks.
6,000, is it 14,000 or is it gonna be 2,000?
All right, so this is,
That's all, we were
this
just,
is Miss Young. I'll have her come back with clarification,
All right.
okay? All right?
okay, for the athletic retirements, are just in the attached report.
I understand the speech, you went over that, I believe, last year,
Every year.
every year.
Okay.
It was stripped.
Every quarter at the budget committee meeting.
So you've seen these questions before, huh?
Occasionally.
Yeah.
Similar ones,
That's the standard answer though, right?
yeah.
Yeah, good.
I've got a,
Well, no, you have the answers. They're just,
Yeah.
line by line by line. The answers are there.
right.
And I get the curriculum improvement and professional development lines,
Where are you?
end of page 4. That's kind of like the same thing with codes and moving them around, I get it. It just seems like they should be together.
It's just not how the
Well,
the state operates with a U.S. government-approved accounting system called Generally Accepted Accounting Procedures. And a lot of this stuff just lines up in sequential numbers, and you could stand on your head to try to change it, but it's actually against state law.
Yeah. State accounting has no real comparison to business accounting.
yeah.
have a lot of
it wouldn't
relationships.
necessarily, it may not be against state law, but it certainly,
Well, the
it
state,
creates complications when we try
Yeah.
to do like your DOE
the
25.
state does actually, as a matter of policy, follow GAAP accounting,
Yeah,
and,
Yep,
you know,
All right.
so,
You guys have any questions on all our questions? We'll discuss the big one afterwards anyway. Facilities director, that was good, that I don't think we've ever really seen that he
It's
had
been
that.
around so
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
yeah, doesn't it make you wonder what we have at the SAU when we can answer a question like that?
Okay.
can't wait to
We-
get to the tractor.
Okay, yeah, well, we haven't got there yet, have we? I know I saw something here about it.
It's in there.
Yeah, it's on the
Yeah,
last
current
page,
tracker.
second to last page.
Yeah, there it is, there it is.
Well,
I have incorporated your suggestion around the, who pays for what on the printing of the town report.
Yeah, I saw the 50%.
We will discuss a tractor at some meeting, or what we're looking for, or what they're looking for, what the facilities manager's looking for.
I
and
can
then
tell you
what the
if you
cost
wanna
is.
know.
Hmm?
I already know what they're looking for.
We got time tonight to have, what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
All right.
go ahead.
They're looking for a simplicity tractor that's gonna cost around
$24,000.
$24,000.
In the range of-
And with the last 2 years of parts costs
Yep.
and repairs, your payback period, assuming that it doesn't ramp up, which I think it will, but your payback period is 8.5 years. When you compare continue repairing versus go out and buy a new one.
Yeah.
But at the rate that you paid the last 2 years, going forward, projecting that as being the rate you're gonna continue to pay may not be a good assumption, because as the tractor keeps getting older.
Yeah, that tractor must have been bought around 2008 or 6, somewhere in that.
Yeah, and it's got some
timeframe.
more expensive repairs to do, it's hydraulic fluids will
Had a lot
leak.
more than that, 2,800
And I'm
over
not
the years.
advocating
Yeah.
one way or the other, but
I'm for
uh,
buying one.
Tom wants his simplicity, I guess he's got his simplicity, so he's trying to replace essentially in kind with similar capability. He wants something that can do snow, so that's kind of the,
Was he gonna have a bucket on it and a snowplow in the back? He doesn't have a I mean, I'm sorry, you'll have a
gonna
big
be
bucket
I'm
in
gonna
the
try to
front.
get away from using snow blowers, to using this tractor.
They'll have
to
a
be
snow blower on it.
I'm assuming you'll have something like that. I mean, I haven't
Be
gotten down to
mounted in
every
the front or the
attachment.
back?
I don't know.
Okay. Because
You'll
I hate
have
the
to-
one in the back, you gotta
You'll have
be-
to have
you
Tom
gotta go
come, you'll have
backwards
to
and-
have him come to the
Okay,
meeting
yes.
so he
Yeah.
can go over the attachments.
I'm for it right now, anyway, I just like to know.
I don't care if it's
you
front
know,
or back, I just, could you just get what he wants, what size?
and,
We'd like
yeah,
the
Want the
Details?
details of the spec,
Yes.
Yeah.
I will get them to you, Scott. and
Well, the
you
thing
can-
is that I would imagine if we're getting up in that price range, we gotta get some bids. And,
Well,
I mean, there's
you're looking for-
Coyote, there's
well, you're-
John Deere, there's Kubota,
You're looking,
once we,
you're looking for a budget number right now.
Yeah.
Once the budget is
That's fine.
adopted, hopefully, then you would go out to bid.
okay.
So he doesn't just get to pick which one he wants.
No, can I get this note and then I'll jump
Yeah.
back in?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we'll have to go through the process and get guarantees and
right, so
warranties.
you have a bid policy
Yeah.
that says when feasible, and this is feasible, you will go out to bid for items over, did we up it to
10,000.
set 10,000, right? So what will happen is if I have a suspicion, and I can't speak with any, like, authority, that he might not just like simplicity tractors, it's maybe some of the attachments will fit the new one, right? So that's a consideration, that some of the attachments that he has will fit a newer simplicity tractor, then that is, a good move. But then we would have to go out to bid
Okay,
and I don't know, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying, when I buy, when I replace my Cub Cadet, I know I have an attachment that'll fit this, I usually go with the Cub
Right.
Cadet because it's gonna save me money in the long term, I'm not sure. But then we would direct the SAU to go out to bid for a Simplicity or whatever tractor, and we would go out to bid and we would bring you 3 bids back, and then you would select the one.
Generally, Dave, if you all decided with the maintenance director of the school that a Simplicity is the way to go, we would try to get 3 Simplicity bids, because once you start saying, a John Deere, a Kubota, a Simplicity, at that point, you don't really have an equivalent bid. So decide on what you want. Hopefully, it's not some brand that you can only find one dealer in the state, but
again, yeah, I agree with you, I mean, I already know within 10 miles, there's 2 dealerships.
There you go.
So, but they're not Simplicity, maybe, so that's all, those are the other questions, and like you said about, is his salt spreader gonna fit on this one? We don't know if it fits. He's got a Macy Ferguson, so if it's gonna, will it fit a Simplicity?
My
That's a-
suggestion
That's a
is that-
good thing, yeah.
Yeah.
is have Tom come to a meeting, because I
Yeah.
don't think
No,
Jocelyn.
no.
Get the
I think we
She
need
couldn't
it, but-
answer the questions if he's.
Not when she's hit with it like that, but
Right.
if she has time to plan for it.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
You may
Just
wind
like
up with
me.
a $40,000 tractor.
I mean, we
by the
just
time
wanna
you're
feel, we wanna feel comfortable
Right.
whether we put in 23 for, I believe we need something, but
Yeah.
let's make sure we put in the right amount,
done.
yeah.
I just bought a new tractor for our school, it's 45.
Yeah, so,
All right, moving on. Glad we talked about the tractor. All right, unfortunately, our waste management contract is just signed, so we will have another 2 years of that.
3
Yeah,
years,
2.5.
wow. Oh, wow,
How
all
did
right, 2.5, okay.
Yeah. But hey, well, if I'm still here, I will make sure we'll get a better contract.
I do want to draw attention also to, just so you know how fast things change. Is high school tuition short on 8th grader? It's the last question.
Yeah.
And when we wrote this answer, we didn't anticipate at that time that we were having 2 homeschool children say in the last couple days, oh, by the way. And so the budget's up to date. I would have to update this again for those 2 extra kids.
So your document in front of you is not up to date, but your notes and your budget is.
So we have to add those 2.
We
but-
did to the
they're in
budget
there.
already.
Yeah,
And then 2 alt ed tuition.
yes, so that's already
It's already in
in
your
there.
budget that we passed out tonight.
Okay, so we can go over this one at the next, whatever meeting we decide
Yeah,
to go over budget.
Quarterly, yeah.
Good, thank you.
Can we back up to waste management just for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Is there a stiff penalty for breaking the this?
Yeah, it's like, whatever it is per month for the rest of the,
Oh,
it's,
jeez, okay.
yeah, it's ridiculous. They hold you to it.
Yeah, I get you. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Do we negotiate some tickets to the Boston Garden or
I'm not at
from
liberty to
Fenway Park or something?
Not at liberty to discuss that answer.
Yeah, they are very, very expensive, so. All right, hey, you know what we did not go over? Your, no, next thing,
Bus
bus
thing?
ridership.
Can I go back to the budget? So the next time, we're gonna put this budget back in the packet, and we're gonna really have a long discussion, because we're starting to push up
Yeah.
against the deadlines, right?
Yes.
Right, okay. Bus ridership is on page,
26?
26,
my report starts on 26, is it on 26?
Yeah, 26.
And those are just your numbers. I don't know if you asked for ridership numbers, but I know somebody did, so I got all three for three districts.
No, I just noticed that we get 77 kids ride the bus to Co-Brown.
Yep. That's usually only
Out of
freshmen.
200 and,
But it's usually, you think it's
30.
only freshmen and sophomores.
normally it is, yeah, with my kids, it was about
Yeah.
when they stopped.
Yeah, the
Okay,
issue that you're up against, and I can tell you that I developed a lot of experience with this over the fall, is you have two Co-Brown runs, right?
yeah,
East and west.
yep.
And to shorten that would
No,
just lengthen the run.
No, I do, there's the territory we
Yeah, the
cover.
territory's just too big, so.
No, That's just, yeah, and otherwise, one bus would have to meet them at 5 down there to come across and come all the way around and
I
fight the.
don't know if
yeah.
it'd be good for
No,
student learning.
No, okay. And we got about 246, so we got about half the kids ride a bus to this school.
It's very, so these numbers are very interesting.
Yep.
Like on the green bus during the day.
More people go
And
home
the-
on the bus
yeah.
than come.
Because parents are on their way to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
timing.
I occasionally drop my daughter.
You know, and
off.
my personal experience is the ride to school with the kids is sometimes the only time they really talk in depth. So I, as a parent, take full advantage of that.
Especially when you
Jake, how
stop
you
off at
doing?
Dunkin' Donuts.
Right. You have a captive audience.
Did you do your homework? Because Mr.
Okay, anything else on bus ridership or anything else from the
There's
superintendent's
not much
report?
we can, you gotta provide it, so, and the numbers seem low, but you can't force people to ride the bus either.
That's it for me.
All right, so,
We've got stuff on our new business.
okay, so we're gonna go, new business. We got warrants.
And the only reason I put warrants on there is a sort of tickler for everybody to remind
we
you
do.
to keep thinking of it.
We gotta do our work.
But there is a slash after that that we added in. I have been working with Attorney Graham on deliberative session dates. And, you know, you usually have yours on a Thursday evening, right?
Mhm.
And so it looks like February 7th.
Okay. That works.
So I don't know, I mean, you might want to make a motion to set it.
Yeah, let's do that so we can put it out there. I'll entertain a motion for February 7th to be the deliberative session at 1800.
So, do you
Just
say
put
so
on my
moved?
calendar.
So moved?
Yep.
All right. Any discussion on that?
Looks good.
Good.
Okay.
Right.
Dave, you good?
Yep.
All right, all in favor? All right, passes 4-0.
So rec department access, I know I received correspondence that the rec department hasn't been issued a seasonal key. I checked with Jocelyn, your policy came to you for first reading, then was sent back to policy committee to deal with personal use, right? Does this sound familiar? So, she's following part of the policy that's in force. Now, there's a way around that, by doing a policy exception. We meet on the 15th, maybe, about policies, but in the meantime, the board could make a policy exception and request that the administration, or direct the administration to release a key to the rec department. And then Jocelyn would follow that, and it would buy us some time.
So as the policy reads now, there's nothing stating that.
It's, I think it's picked up and dropped off the next business day. New
It's
policy.
picked up on Friday and
Yeah, something
dropped
like
back
that.
off on Monday.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
We put a
So
new
the
line.
new policy says that we will issue one key to the rec department for seasonal, like by the season. So if basketball season starts, looks like they might have been in
Soon.
it tonight, or, well, maybe that was school.
I think it's school.
Um,
Started.
Then the rec department would have that key through the close of the season.
Okay. And now, what about, I know when men's league, they play on Monday nights, how does that work?
That's run through the rec, isn't it?
No, it runs through the rec, but once when the school is open, the custodians are here, the building's open.
Yeah.
You just gotta, no,
It's really about weekend access.
right, it's the
Yeah.
weekend, getting the key for the weekend.
And the busyness of the gym during the rec season, during weekends. is really what it's about.
Yeah, so make a motion to,
Issue a set of keys to the recreation department.
to adopt, to amend the policy? No.
No.
Because
The
your
po-
policy
No.
is like in the place
Just make
between
an
sleep and
exception.
awake. So,
But the
Make exception
policy
to
is
policy?
going to go through, it just hasn't
Gone through.
gone
Pol-
through
Yeah,
yet.
the policies come up in policy
Yeah.
committee. It will be
Right.
coming up for first reading at some point.
no, it already came up for first reading.
Going to
It
second
was sent
reading.
back because of the personal use question.
Okay.
So we're gonna address that at the next policy committee meeting, which is supposed to be the 15th.
And then it'll come
So
back
make
for second
exception to
reading.
the current policy that we
Yes.
give a key to the rec director for seasonal use.
A set of keys, because
Set.
there's light key, there's
Basketball. key.
basketball key, yeah.
Yeah.
Just so, I don't know if you all know, but we only have one door that the rec department can come in. It's the very door on the left. That's the only key you have, and unlocks that door. It doesn't unlock anything else in the building. So you can get out all the doors, but you can't get in. So, in 15 years, we haven't had any problems that I'm aware of.
So by approving this exception, we allow access to the gym only for the rec?
That's all they can get into is the gym and the
Yeah.
hallway.
Everything else remains the
Everything's
same.
alarmed or,
Everything else remains the same.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a great song.
okay, I'll second that, motion.
Okay. Well, we've already had discussion. Any further discussion?
no?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, passes 4-0.
They don't need that this weekend, right?
No,
Don't know.
It's Jocelyn's away.
yeah,
Made some
no,
challenges for me.
hasn't started yet.
All right, copier information.
Okay.
Mr. Bruning has some good information on this.
Get ready, this is a story. So, currently, you have a 63-month lease with this company. And that 63-month lease covers 2 copiers here, and there's one at the SAU. It's all in the same price, but we pay our portion, you pay your portion. So I've got to get 2 board actions going here. The copier company has come to Ms. Osborne, and you're in your last year of your lease. Excuse me. They have what's called a NIPA program, which is a nationally bid program. So they bid nationally with different companies. And they are asking if the board will approve extending their lease past the 5 years. And Ms. Osborne has looked into the other 2 vendors that we've used in the past across the SAU, and they can't even come close to beating the price of the national bid. So, while I'm not a copier expert, I do have some notes. So 4 years ago, 63-month lease, they want to give us new machines. They have a national program when they've already bid it out. Upgrade the machines to include 3-hole punches and things. I don't know about Northwood, but I know what the SAU 3-hole punches and copiers are.
We want that.
Do you have that?
No,
Right,
we
they'll give you that, okay. Glad they're
You're probably
here.
talking to the people you should be talking to.
Right. And what would happen is they would write a rebate check for the remainder of this lease, so you get a check back, and then implement the new lease.
Cost, if we approve it, the cost of the new lease.
The
will
cost
go
is
into the-
exactly what's in your budget right
Okay.
now. There's no increase in cost.
Okay.
This would take
You're
effect
right.
probably, you're gonna be, how many
Yeah,
budgets?
Drake-
are
In
this?
December,
Some
in December.
In December.
It's just a tickle in my throat. As soon as I'm done talking,
those
I'll go
kickers
take
in
care of it.
So, yeah, I mean,
Are
go ahead.
are they looking for, did you say a 1-year lease or a new 63?
No, it's another
month
63
one?
months.
Okay.
So they're happy.
and we get 3 new copiers.
Well, you get 2 and we get 1, and then you pay 600.
You get the best one, or we get the
They're
best one?
all gonna be the same.
Okay,
All
so
the
the-
same.
on page 34, the monthly payment, we're paying 2/3 of that?
You're paying 662.
Okay. And which is what we're currently paying on the lease now. Got it. Thank you.
Which is actually really good.
Sounds good. Now, these are better, faster,
Faster, yeah.
Faster, newer.
use the same paper?
Do you have a staple finisher?
So you need a motion for us?
Yeah, and then I'm gonna have to bring a motion to the joint board too.
I'll make a motion to, let's say, accept this lease proposal to start a new 63-month lease in December with, what's the name of the company? It's not Canon, right?
Cannon's the copier. It's not Conway.
Image reference.
No, that's the name of the.
National IPA lease? Oh, no,
No, that's the name of that. I'm sorry.
FML lease? Well,
It says proposed solution, Canon.
Cannon Solution America. Yes, Cannon Solution America.
with Canon Solutions America.
Second?
It's the hardest thing about today.
Yeah.
All right, I got a second. Any discussion? No, all in favor? Passes 4-0.
Plus it's just-
Moving along. Anything else on new business? that we want to talk about?
Oh, yeah.
I don't see anything on there. Never written down.
No, nothing under new business.
All right, committee reports. I'll just jump in. We had a safety committee report. Okay. We met last Tuesday. It went real well. We're still trying to figure out door stoppers. Because the adjoining rooms all have doors. And what are you gonna do to, seal those doors? There's so many different options that other towns use. We looked into, just putting a regular lock on it, but these lock companies know that it's a hot commodity, so instead of you thinking it only costs like maybe $125 per door, they're gonna charge us $500 per door.
So the door that's in between two classrooms. I thought we did that about 4 years ago.
No.
We spent $10,000 for locks special, so they can lock everything from the
No,
inside.
everything is free reign.
Really? Okay.
So that anybody can just go in the back, in the side door.
Yep.
So the
Teacher
issue
A
is-
can't lock out teacher B.
Yeah, so the issue is if you have a bunch of classrooms in the hallway, one of the classes is in the gym at the time, going to a lockdown, the other doors are locked, but that one's open, someone can get in and get into the other door, so the door's
Right.
in the back.
Yeah, well, that, and just say if this is 2 rooms, here and over there, and there's a door there. Intruder enters through this door, right? Teacher might wanna lock that door or lock it down, so no, everything's blocked off.
Should we have this discussion in non-public?
We could.
Okay.
Wise.
But, so another safe, I mean, it's all common knowledge, anyways, but, another thing that we talked about is that, Bob Young and Colin Crockmall took over, doing the reunification plan. They're developing that.
What's that?
Reunification is after we have maybe an active shooter event here, we reunify somewhere else to give all the kids back to the parents. So we're working on a plan for that. So that's the safety.
When we do that, I'd just like to go take a walk afterwards and.
Yeah, I'll show you what that means. That's it for safety committee. And we did fix the lights, and that's something else that's gonna come up next meeting, the timer, because right now the lights are on 24/7.
Not anymore. You missed the solution.
I missed the
Oh,
solution?
Yeah, you weren't here.
I wasn't here.
Well, we're still gonna price out a light timer.
Yeah.
But, I gotta remember.
Somebody turns them on and off.
Yeah, they turn them on and off.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
So we have a light timer, it's just.
It's
like
just
human.
manual, yeah.
As long as they don't get zapped when it's raining.
Yeah.
So that's it. Anybody else committee wise?
Well, we had to cancel the policy committees, and then we're supposed to have one on the 15th, but I think we're gonna be canceling that one, so
Okay.
we haven't got any, I don't have any updates.
All right.
Someday I would like to do a facilities.
Yeah, me too. We're gonna do that soon.
Update from the clubs committee, some requests. At the last meeting, it said we had met. I have information to share, and looking for an action.
Thank you.
Sure. And, I'm hoping that the copier that I use
Get the new copy.
have a better updated lease sometime, because this is pretty hard to read. Nobody laughed at my joke.
Snowshoe Club.
Oh, yeah. We have about
My kids
50
love
sets
that.
of them.
Okay, and in order to save paper, I hand wrote some of the notes rather than printing out like 5 pages, because I don't have editing rights to the Google spreadsheet, so, anyway, so I apologize for my very poor handwriting. But, so the changes that are coming up, the Spanish Club facilitator is now Nate Butenmueller. The yearbook assistant is now Ben Ludwig. Journalism Club, so because we had teachers leave and new teachers hired, that's just a lot of the personnel changes. The Journalism Club and the Games Club for 3rd through 5th grade has been removed due to the facilitators no longer being at the school. They're seeking to add student council as a club to be facilitated by Dana Kelly. And then there's a few positions that we had already approved that are still open. One of them comes on your next page, which is from the support staff. There's a paraprofessional that would like to be the drama club assistant, and those numbers are on there. So on this first page, we're looking for approval for Dana Kelly for the student council at a cost of $1,250, and looking for approval for a 7th grade advisor at a cost of $750. Or am I wrong about that?
You're gonna approve the stipends, you're not gonna approve the person. I have to bring that back on a stipend for it. And you don't wanna
Okay.
overcomplicate things, it's just that that's how we keep track of things.
Sure.
And if we don't follow that process. So 7th grade,
So they're looking to
7th grade advisor.
add a 7th grade advisor for student council, and they're looking to add a 7th grade advisor.
All right, what was the cost of the student council?
1250.
50?
Yep.
And the other one was 750?
That's correct.
Okay, so you would approve those positions, and then I'll have Jocelyn. bring
Yeah,
it
and
to you.
that's on the professional clubs. On the paraprofessional clubs, they're looking to approve drama club assistant at a cost of $667.60.
We'll have 6s in
You get that?
Support staff?
That's support staff.
Okay. I have a question on support staff.
Sure.
Volleyball club, are they doing that this fall?
I don't know when they're doing it. I believe it's been approved.
Yeah, I know it was approved. I didn't know if they're doing it. Usually this is the time of the year.
I haven't heard anything about volleyball
What
clubs.
season did they do that in?
Well, girls, I mean, if they're, I don't know if they just had girls or girls and boys.
It's a volleyball season. No, the spring was volleyball season.
That's boys volleyball. Girls volleyball, which is the
I never
biggest.
did volleyball.
Do we have a reason I'm bringing it up is, I would love to see us have that as a regular sport. And do we still do cheerleading? Because we've always put money aside for cheerleading, so.
This hasn't been for a couple of years now.
No, so volleyball could be started because the high schools all have volleyball.
Right, they could wear the cheer uniforms.
Hmm?
They could wear the cheer uniforms.
All right, I'm just curious if volleyball club had started, and if it works out good, maybe propose it for a school sport. Because it would be perfect time, girls volleyball
Left and no one stepped up.
is always in the fall.
Can we just
Boys?
update if that started from Ms. Young?
When is volleyball?
Girls volleyball is traditionally played in the fall.
Right, I think this is a co-ed, isn't it?
I don't know. We didn't get that answer, I think, when we first started, but it would be good as a club to be co-ed anyway.
All right.
That.
So, I make a motion to approve the 7th, 8th grade student council as 7th grade advisor, for a total of $2,000. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all in favor? All right, passes 4-0. And then I'll make a motion to approve support staff club, drama club assistant to Sharon Plord for amount of, assistant, sorry, for $667.60.
Second?
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? All right, passes 4-0. Any other committees meet?
No.
Okay. No, you guys all set with Mr. O'Sullivan?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. O'Sullivan. See you tomorrow.
Super.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Bob.
Wait till he gets to the door and call
They were good questions, by the way.
I hope we were prepared.
I'll have some more so that we can get you tomorrow.
All right, so, I can hear myself. Committee reports is done. Old business, budget discussion, I think we've had that. The request of the treasurer?
Yes, at your last meeting, you had a treasurer's request for some,
Additional funding or something like that?
yep, some additional funding and some,
New position, to pay for a position that we've never paid for. Was it,
so, I met with there were some questions, I met with the treasurer. We talked about the assistant treasurer and the amount of times, that we thought that position would be used, how would we, I think there was some concern at the board that we're just paying $500 and if they don't do anything. So I met with Ms. Coburn and she felt like, 10 times a year, maybe, the person would come in and sign the checks. And that's what we're budgeting for. It's not in reality. And that, considering that Ms. Coburn would have all the other duties and the person would just be signing the checks and taking care of the manifest, that we thought, that if we budgeted $500 and paid $50 in occurrence, that would work. We talked about travel, and I said my opinion of travel is that we take mileage from the office, so, travel from house to the office would not be covered. However, travel from the SAU office to the bank or the school would be. So we had that discussion. That was a concern that was brought up. And then the rest of the conversations, I think we can have a non-public, not for any bad reason, just because we're talking about compensation, duties, and performance. So I can give you my opinion about that. So that's where we're at with that.
Okay.
Want me to keep going?
For the
So,
secretary?
Yeah, so we've advertised a secretary, we have another ad ready to go, we're gonna put one in the Suncook Valley Sun, in addition to our normal places. And I'm asking the board, since it's been vacant for so long and we haven't had, any activity, if the board would consider upping that pay from $20 to $25 an hour to see if I can attract,
what do the other two boards pay?
pay 20 right now.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, I had to check, just verify my facts.
So, that's the secretary to take the minutes, correct?
Uh-huh.
And how many hours is it?
Oh, it's, with us, it could be 4 hours here and probably a couple hours at home, I
With you
imagine.
guys, it varies between 12 and 15
A month?
A week,
a meeting.
twice a month.
Bi-weekly.
So. All right, so that would be, we'd say we had 24 meetings.
I think my most previous, well, the last time I did it, I think it was about 11 hours. So, but yeah,
All right.
usually it's between 12 and 15 for
So
you
it's
guys.
like we have 24 meetings, right? And 10 times 20 is $200 a meeting. What did we budget for, 4,000? It's in here somewhere.
Actually,
That would be.
here, that expense report.
Yeah. We actually have more than 24 meetings sometimes, but. That'd be 4,800 at this rate. So. That falls under school board, so it'll be in the school board section, I think.
Yeah, are you in your budget though, Dave?
Hmm?
Are you in your budget?
Well, it's the one sheet you just gave us, which will have last year's what we did.
Well,
Transportation, notes.
Secretary wages was,
Okay, yeah.
2,000, no, current budget, 4,000. Actuals were 230.
You spent, yeah, you have 4,000, and then, what are the actuals? Do we-
2,331. And then, yeah, from 17 to 18, and 16 it was 3,194.
Yeah, well, there was times we didn't have secretaries.
Well, this year
around,
you've got
so,
some
yeah, it'd be less.
Unfortunate savings because,
Yeah, we already started without it.
right.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to increase secretary wages for the school board from $20 to $25 per hour.
Can we,
Oh,
yeah, I guess we can always come back to it if that secretary moves on
Mhm.
the following year, or whatever, so.
I'm of the thing that we should maybe put a little clip in there that will pay what the other two towns are paying to a maximum of.
Well, you,
I'm just,
going to
this is
25,
discussion
you're already
now.
doing that. I know. If you're going to 25, you're already paying more than that.
So I need a second on that.
Second.
All right, further discussion? I don't, I just don't want, hey, we just hired someone at $25 an hour, and they come here and they're horrible.
To 25.
I would, yeah, so I would make that motion up to $25, depending on experience. And if, because I don't mind training someone at $20 an hour, but I don't want to start them at $25 an hour if they don't know how to do minutes.
So if we calculate, we gotta figure the budget, so what did I say?
6,600.
6,600.
I think.
From 4, so we're up
It's
to
at 22 hours a month times 12, just to make it easy.
Yeah, good.
So we need to get $2,600, which is not much. We can find it, but.
Oh, I think you've got it this year. I think
Oh,
you'll be
I'm sure.
okay.
It'll be fine
You have
to
a
have
bunch
it.
of,
Well, we're gonna have a discussion about another, increase in in a section that, I don't know if there's
Right.
that many hours, and it'll be all pretty close to the same pay as us, as a secretary, so,
well,
yeah, we have to be careful.
yep. And I think one is relevant to this year's budget and next year's budget, and the other is relevant to next year's budget.
So, Brian, you want to amend?
Sure,
up to-
I'll amend my motion to be up to $25.
Second, Amy?
Sorry, second. I was like, we,
Okay, any further discussion on
Somebody
that?
that wants to,
Oh.
you wanna quit here, you can make more money than here.
All right, no further, I see no further discussion. All in favor?
Sorry.
Passes 4-0.
I do need money.
Did we put in that they should bring?
All righty. That is everything for old business, I believe. We got our parking lot items.
I got a thing on parking lot items, no, school board timeline, I think I did have.
Okay, that's my budget.
Let me get to it.
Spots here. All right, parking lot items. We got school board newsletter. How's that going, Amy?
Well, when my computer is all fixed, it will be
Okay.
fine.
We got the tractor. We already discussed that. School safety, it's, just want to put people's mind, in their mind, in their heads, for next meeting, because it's getting close to budget timeline. What are your real feelings on the SRO? You know, and all that stuff. I think I kind of have a general feeling, but also if there's any other warrant articles that you want to put out, like a sign,
Yeah, put it out.
always worth a shot.
I think we got, I think the prices must have gone down, but we're
Because I
not
was just
doing
talking
that.
about warrant articles, I jumped over it. The competency presentation was moved to March. Strategic plan goal, first meeting monthly. I don't think we have our strategic plan
No,
goal.
I benchmarked it, and then I
Yeah.
brought the wrong document, so it's
So-
my office's mistake there.
And so you're gonna send us another email and
It'll
how
be the
that,
next agenda.
okay. Blizzard bags, we talked, about that and we pushed it to April 2019. Why is that? Why did we push it to,
Because.
Get through budget.
Want to get through budget and then,
something to talk about for next year?
yeah.
Okay.
We'll have more time to.
And then calendar discussion will be in April.
That sounds late in the year.
It is late.
Yeah, why is that?
You have a calendar committee, don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm supposedly on it, but I have no idea when we're meeting, but usually we used to meet back in January,
Well,
February or something.
I have a meeting with Headmaster
Okay.
next week sometime, to go through the proposed, CBNA calendar and the vacations, and I'm also bringing, not totally relevant to you, but in a layered way, I'm bringing the adopted Dover calendar, because that affects not,
Yeah.
we try to be independent, but they're interconnected. And him and I will be talking about that. What he did want me to tell the board was those vacation dates, other than, Christmas, are flexible. So they're waiting for sort of to see what we do.
Oh, for the week we take it.
The
Yeah.
February and,
February, take it, so it ends up the last couple of days in March, and
Right.
you miss
right,
Massachusetts.
so once I have that discussion, I'm gonna check the collective bargaining agreement and assemble the calendar committee.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
To see if we can work through that.
Another thing too is, I know it makes it really difficult, but if we look at it, is when we do professional develop days, if they can co-mingle with Co-Brown as much as possible, because,
Hey, you're preaching to the choir on that one.
because, you have students in high school and you got students in elementary school, it's a big relief for parents to be able to have both their
Well,
kids.
That's one consideration. The other consideration, it gives us the opportunity to flex, right? So if there's something being offered at Co-Brown that's relevant to our eighth grade teachers, for instance, to do with bridges or something like that, or if there's something relevant reading instruction that's going on here that could benefit, it gives us the ability to work together to shuffle those folks for what they might possibly need for development.
So, I forget who's on the calendar committee,
It's,
Keith, I think, and me.
just keep that in mind.
phew,
Bree.
it's Dave.
Dave.
What, no?
It's you.
Just you.
Well, I thought Keith said it last time, he was gonna be on it. But anyway,
Oh.
he's not here, so we can put him on.
Stick him right on there.
All right. Parking lot items, accountant and student representative, I guess we could probably take that off of there, we've been doing that.
Yeah, hold on. So I just moved calendar to December, hopefully. Sorry, excuse me for a minute. Get back to where I was.
December.
And student rep is
Yeah.
accomplished.
Yeah, we can take that off, beautiful.
I'd just like to say thank you for doing that. I think it's a
It's
nice way to-
awesome.
nice
That
way
was
to
great
start the
tonight,
day.
right?
Yeah,
I
it
wasn't
was
quite
good.
sure.
Yeah, it was awesome. Put a smile to my face. All right,
I
school,
also need to let Brianna Jack. No, no.
School board timeline. We're in October, written notice of intent to bargain. We did that, begin budget preparation, we're doing that. Staff list, all personnel by October 1st, and TA agreement, that's been done, right?
I can check.
Superintendent evaluation is kind of like we're actually,
That's a new one.
we're going into,
Yep,
Didn't we just
Non-public
say
on that,
we-
right?
Yep.
To start that big conversation, right?
yeah,
yeah, it's an informal.
it's informal, yeah. List of winter coaches, we got that last meeting. Bus ridership and preschool lease.
Done.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, November, we're in budget
Big
prep.
one.
So again, like I said, put your budget hats on, compare your budgets, so we can then try to get a default budget. And then we can try to start looking at that as well.
Maybe when Keith comes back, if he makes it in time, that we can set up
remember,
another work session or something.
I'll check my notes, but I'll check the binders. I believe we do give the budget committee a default. They don't act on it, it's your job to act on it, but
They asked for it, I think, in
Yeah,
the first
yeah.
meeting, didn't they?
I kind of remember having it last year
Yeah,
as
we
a
did.
budget committee member, not as a school board member.
But as things change, the default changes, I mean,
Yeah.
so at least it's,
well, there's big changes this
Yeah.
year to how we do the default, so.
yeah, you don't wanna do it.
Quicker we can get close to an operating budget and warrants is gonna help us do the default, because we've got a lot of new work to do there that hasn't been done before.
Cool.
And Thanksgiving in between.
All right. Dave, you said you had a question.
March, for March.
Yep.
What's March? I'm gonna tell you. March for the Northwood School Board responsibilities. That in March, we should have a first meeting, it's in our policy that the athletic director / through our administration brings us the spring coach list for approval.
Okay.
Well, there's also some other things we need to do.
Probably, yeah.
Spring coach list. Also, what should go on,
School district, general youth board and public.
is you also reorganize.
Yep, you
Yeah,
got that point
reorganize.
board subcommittees.
Okay.
Yeah, well, you gotta elect the chair and everything else.
Yeah, yeah. Election of new board members is.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
Change in school age.
All right, moving on. Anything else from the timeline?
I don't think so.
Seeing there isn't, I will move on to future agenda items. We have a semi-annual meeting with Co-Brown on the 14th at 6 PM.
Yeah, thank you.
The 15th, we have a board meeting. We also have a meeting with the teachers at 5:45 to 6:15 on the
No,
5th, right?
On that night?
We haven't set that yet.
I thought we did on the 15th. We're
No,
gonna
I
have,
thought we said.
No.
no?
Between now and December
No, I gotta
31st,
send out a
I don't think
scheduling
we.
email.
Gotta like,
That's right. No more
contact.
No more meetings on the 15th.
All right,
I'll be in trouble.
not a meeting with the teachers yet. November 26th, we have the joint meeting at the SAU. November 29th, we have our SRO presentation, which is not on there, but that is at 6 o'clock, I believe.
I believe.
And
I have it
then
written
December,
down. And then December, one thing that isn't on there, just
Is
to
our
remind the
meeting.
board,
to
is
6,
December
Presentation in the
6th.
Cafeteria, right?
cafeteria.
And, yes, sir, I just double checking, is it 6 or 6:30? That's all right.
I would say it's
I have it at 6.
6, yeah.
I have it incorrectly, I don't know if it's right now.
I can check the
We
posting.
can note that Keith McGuigan has entered the room. And yeah, and then December 8th, we have our budget work session with the town.
Oh, I got here just in time, didn't I?
We're gonna go into non-public, so it'll be perfect. All right, closing public comment. No,
Your
seeing no.
Northwood public hearing is at 6:30 on the 29th.
That's at 6:30. You were right.
I just pulled the posting.
Really? Then
Yep.
I have it
Here
wrong.
in the cap.
Cafeteria.
29th at 6:30?
Maybe I did that on
Yeah.
purpose for myself to make sure.
Yeah,
I
make sure you're
really-
there on time.
I'll leave
All
it that way.
right, and then, all right, so seeing that we have no closing public comment, any board members have any closing comment? All right, seeing none, I will now, yes, Dave.
Okay, a question for our athletic director or principal. How come we bought baseball hats in September?
You're on sale.
They were on sale? That's what I
they
thought,
were.
but I mean,
No,
But I buy my baseball
I
cap.
know she was kidding, but that would be, I'm wondering why.
I,
We bought 15 baseball caps.
yeah, maybe.
Good price, I
the
guess.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, I was,
Forecasting, I guess.
maybe they needed new ones or, sure.
yeah,
All right.
other than that, nothing.
Okay, moving on to non-public session. We will take, what are we falling under? Personnel?
Yeah.
Hiring and compensation.
And then, is that C?
B. No. C. if you wanna-
A
A,
and C.
A, and C. All right, well, roll call into non-public session under RSA 91A and C. Roll call in. Brian?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Dave?
Yep.
Keith?
Yes.
All right, and yes for Mr. Wales. We are now in non-public, Gary?